If you knew morning wood, then you know why I feel blue. Without morning, my morning wood. Oh, well, I love you, yes, I love you, morning wood. Morning wood, morning wood. Oh, how my heart yearns for you. Oh, morning, my morning wood. Oh, well, I love you, yes, I love you, morning wood. Morning wood, morning wood. Pretty, pretty, pretty.
Rise and shine. This is The Morning Woo, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio studios inside the bunker. Undisclosed location in beautiful New Jersey. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, Twitch, and now on Instagram Live on the Let's Go Devils Network. On this happy Devils Thursday, November 20th, 2025. Today, the Devils take on the Florida Panthers tonight in Sunrise. Hoping to rebound from that debacle that happened in Tampa when the Devils lost 5-1. I would assume that Jake the Snake Allen will be getting the start since Jacob Markstrom apparently tweaked something, wasn't practicing yesterday. And that's why today's title for the Morning Woo, episode 47. I think we're at 47 now. Yeah, I think we're at 47 right now. It's Jake the Snake Allen. No doubt that Markstrom, I thought, had a pretty good, was phenomenal during the series in the playoffs against the Carolina Hurricanes. It wasn't his fault that the Devils couldn't move on to the second round. They were decimated with injuries, and they held on as long as they could. The Carolina Hurricanes, they were a well-coached team. They could block shots. They could do a lot of stuff. But the Devils didn't have much gas at the end of Game 5. But Jacob Markstrom, I think it's time to consider playing Jake the Snake Allen majority of the games till further notice. Because, look, he's looked good, Jake Allen. He's looked very, very good. I don't have his stats in front of me, but his goals against average, I believe, is in the mid to low twos. But Markstrom, good goaltender. This is why you have a 1A, 1B. But right now, I'd ride the hot hand right now with Jake the Snake Allen. Tom, happy Devils Thursday to you. By the way, I'll have more information forthcoming that the Let's Go Devils podcast, Game Day Live, and Devils After Dark will be traveling to Philly this Saturday. Just got to find out which venue we will be broadcasting from. It's either Chickies and Pete's or possibly Stateside Live. I think it used to be called Xfinity Live. Not sure yet. We'll have further details trying to figure out where we will be broadcasting live from Philly in enemy territory. Art Heaton says Nico, Timo, Cotter have to start converting on their very good chances. Little Fireboy says former 2019 Stanley Cup champion goaltender Jake the Snake Allen. But we know that Jordan Binnington had a lot to do with that. And plus that song, Gloria, Gloria. Let's see here. Maria, happy Devil's Thursday to you, Maria, avid listener of the Morning Woo. Coming to you live. I had to do some chores this morning. Tom's like, Mrs. Woo cracking the whip. No, I do chores. I do, in this household, I actually do stuff. Not much. I don't cook. I don't clean. I'm practically useless. But the one thing I do, and I do very well, is take out the garbage and the recycles. But that's about it. That's and clean toilets as well. That's the extent of my domesticated self. But I do grill. I grill very well outside. Maria says, good husband. I try to be. I put in an honest effort. Even though sometimes Mrs. Wu is shaking her head, what are you doing? This is not hard, but I do my job around here. The garbage, not a problem. There were a couple times our garbage company, for whatever reason, these guys get lazy. And when they dump the garbage in, it's all robotics now. But they don't shake it. They just dump and then whatever. And a lot of the times the garbage gets stuck. And there are times where I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. Mrs. Wu's going to kill me. So I usually cover it up and dump it somewhere else, because I only have one job to do, and I have to execute that. So Little Fireboy said, nice to see The Rock staying sponsored by Prudential for so long. Don't know where that came from, but, but apparently the Prudential Center is... was built on a previous cemetery. If you ever walked on Broad Street, you'll see the First Presbyterian Church. I think it's the First Presbyterian Church in the United States from the 1600s. I remember walking by and reading. It was pretty interesting where they settled, and it's still there. Pretty historical. But apparently they had a cemetery years ago where the Prudential Center is built upon it. And, of course, the Ryan Novozinski, they did, they got archaeologists on, is it haunted because of all these injuries? I don't think it. Look, the team's fine, okay? It's not haunted. It's just the Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment. Everybody gets hurt. Jaden Daniels gets hurt for their Washington Commanders. The Embiid guy, he always gets hurt. So I don't think it has anything to do with that. The curse, I wouldn't read into it, but maybe on the Woo Report we have an investigation. We do love our conspiracy theories. Maybe we should bring the unsolved mysteries, back to the Let's Go Devils podcast. Little fun stuff that we do. Do you remember the Unsolved Mysteries? Remember that? We did those segments. Where did Timo Meyer go? Good times, good times. I want to see if do I still have that theme? I don't think I have that theme anymore in the computer. No, I don't. I should get that track back. We'll do some conspiracy theories on the Woo Report in the near future. Max says, the worst is when they say yard waste is too heavy. Well, let me just tell you something. And I'm going to say something controversial here. But when you do the numbers and all that kind of stuff, actually, I won't. I'm not going to talk about garbage right now because we're talking Devils hockey. But I was going to say something, but I'll save it for another time. Let's see here. The renaming, the name staying the same because the Flyers have changed it so much. Yeah, originally, their arena used to be called the Core States Center. Core States Bank. My first bank account that I opened up as an adult was at Core States. Why? Because I was going off to college to Pennsylvania. So I had to open up a bank account, a checking account. It was Core States. And then it went from the Core State Center to the First Union Center because First Union bought Core States. And we conveniently renamed it the FU Center, especially during the 2000 Eastern Conference Finals. Yep, it was definitely the FU Center. And after a little bit of time, then I guess some 2008 things started to change because the financial crisis that was upon the world, it became the Wachovia Center. Now, truth be told, there was at one point that when First Union was bidding for the naming rights of that arena, the Bank of Boston was also bidding for those rights. Can you imagine if it was called the Bank of Boston Center? Can you imagine that in Philadelphia, Bank of Boston Center? True story. So then it was the Wachovia Center. And then Wachovia, and remember, my banking went from Core States to First Union. First Union sucked, by the way. Core States, I only had it for a short period of time. I think in 98, First Union bought it. And one of my first jobs in college was I actually worked for First Core States for about a week, and then the merger happened, and then became First Union. That was one of my first jobs. I was an ATM processor. I'd work the third shift, and all these, back in the day when you do ATM deposits, whether it's cash or checks, you put it in an envelope and you put it in. I was the guy that processed it. And boy, how much fraud did I see through that? I remember somebody trying to deposit a $3 million sweepstakes check. It was like, nah, that's not going through. But anyway, so it was the Wachovia Center, and then somewhere along the line, it became the Wells Fargo Center because Wells Fargo started buying all these banks. So the Wells Fargo Center, and now Wells Fargo is like, not anymore. Now it's the Xfinity Mobile. Is it Center? I don't know. Xfinity Mobile. And actually, Xfinity Mobile, not the plug for Comcast or anything. It's basically just like Verizon, service, just not as expensive apparently. Yes, little fire. You were inside the bank machine? ? No. See, what happens is you've got the Brinks trucks. They go by. They collect the ATM deposits back. This is back in the day, okay? It's not like today where everything is like, oh, we take a picture of your check on mobile deposit. No. Back in the day, you used to either put cash or checks or money orders or whatever, and you would type in what the total amount was, and you put in this envelope, and then you slip it in, and it would dot matrix, print out the information on that envelope. So as the processor, I look at it, I punch in the computer, I scan the checks, blah, 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 and then, whatever. And, and sometimes there were a lot of transactions that were wrong, and I would have to correct it and mail out that, oh, you're $57 short. Here's the adjustment, you jerk. Anyway, so long story short, and it was actually for a college kid back in the late 90s, I believe it was $12 an hour to work that shift. $12 to $13 an hour to start. That was big time money back then. For a college kid, miss those days. Let's see. He wasn't inside the ATM, silly. He was inside the box you put the check in. No, I wasn't. I worked in an office, and all these checks would go to the office. And I remember one time they said, Sam, you got to carry some bags to the Brinks truck, right? Because, You know, we have coins, dollars, and all that. Let me tell you something. Carrying the pennies to the freaking truck. I'm telling you, if I was a robber, I wouldn't even bother because the damn thing was so heavy to carry to the Brinks truck that would go inside the ATM processing center. Anyway, so that's my story. I've told a lot of stories here on the Morning Woo. But that's part of the morning show. That's part of the morning podcast. You get to hear a little bit of everything. But getting back to the topic at hand, Jake the Snake Allen. This guy has been good. Let's ride him. Let's make sure that he gets us the points, because tonight's a very important game. It's extremely important because I'd like to say that the game against Tampa is not kind of the sample that, you know, what's to come. I expect the Devils to rebound. I'm sure they're not happy. They just, again, they got off track and they tried to go fancy schmancy against the Tampa Bay Lightning and they got burnt. They got to go back to playing basic hockey. Solid fundamentals. You gotta play defense. You gotta help your teammates out. And you gotta make smart plays. The Devils cannot afford to make stupid plays. Dougie Hamilton didn't practice because it was part of his return. What was it? Amanda Stein tweeted out. It was I kind of laughed at that. It was his Dougie Hamilton. Okay, so Jake Allen is starting to tonight against the Panthers. But Hamilton had a maintenance day. And let's see here. Had a maintenance day, and then Dougie Hamilton had something called a return to the ice program or something. That was part of his program, not to practice yesterday. Yeah. Yeah, Max has no more new pennies. Yeah, you know, it's probably a waste of money to make pennies. I think you take a loss. I think the materials to make the pennies is worth more than the penny itself. Selectable says they didn't play smart hockey on Tuesday. No, they didn't. No, they did not. So it may be a quadruple header Thursday today because we got Game Day Live and Devils After Dark after the game. As news breaks, we'll bring it to you. The Devils Panthers tonight. Vinny Parisi and I will be doing Game Day Live and Devils After Dark. Scotty of Sirius XM, Liquid Metal, and I will be podcasting after the podcast. But I think Saturday, Scotty will not be. Scotty's mom's in town, so he's got to spend time with mom. But anyway, all right. Well, getting out of here, Dubzilla. Happy Devils Thursday to you. Need the W. We'll see, but just a reminder, we'll be down in Philly. Just don't know where for Game Day Live and Devils After Dark. I went to Dunkin' this morning. That's why I was late, to get myself an unsweetened iced tea. The ceremonial sip. To you, the Devils fans. Also, those that asked about merch, I right now in talks of creating the Morning Woo mug. And the first 25 will be autographed Morning Woo mugs for a price to be determined. Anyway, the ceremonial sip to you, the Devils fan, that's getting ready for the Devils take on the Florida Panthers. I drink to this. I'll see you guys later. Till next time, this is the Morning Woo. Let's go, Devils.
Morning